I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You want to do it? Okay. I pledge my head to clear thinking, my heart to greater loyalty, my hands to larger service, and my health to better living for my club, my community, my country, and my world.
Thank you, Riverview Junior Stockman, for starting our sheep show with the pledges. This will be first call for Class 3 Intermediate Showmanship. First call, Class 3 Intermediate Showmanship. This will be second call for Class 3 Intermediate Showmanship. This is the final call for Class 3 Intermediate Showmanship. Final call, Class 3 Intermediate Showmanship. Our champion senior sheep showmanship is sponsored by Musil Club Lambs.
Well, it's unfortunate we only have 2, because I think if we had another 10 to the class, I would almost bet these 2 would still surface up the top. Both very good showmen. The weather, he comes in just a little jazzed up and maybe doesn't look quite as comfortable. He's kind of getting into the groove now. The U is probably a little bit better on the parade. And so really what it boils down to, we get these things stopped and propped up, and I think the young lady's just a little bit more efficient with her time. She's a little quicker to get him gathered up. I like the way that as we look at these 2 showmen, she stayed a little bit more squared up to his front. He's not the coolest at about his lower shoulder and neck, and so the way she's able to bring her thigh around his shoulder, it kind of balances out really nice from the side. And I think being just a little bit more squared up in front, I think kind of allows her to get just a little nicer look out of him. The ewe lamb, I think, is really, really beautiful on the walk, and she holds her spine really nice. She handles her feet and legs good. And I think he does a great job, especially when we put her on the parade. Maybe, again, she's not quite got the endurance to hold her position here when we get her stopped, and he's had to work a little harder, and I think as a result you were trying to work a little quick too, so just a little slower if you would, just take that kind of pace and kind of slow down just a little bit. Like I said, I would probably, she's got just a nickel bit of sternum in relation to her underline. I'd probably want to duck your hips just a little bit more and kind of get that kind of covered up just a little bit, but both of you do a great job with your hands. You got the heads right. We get in to get a push on those sheep. You do a nice job. You know, you're both big, strong showmen. You kind of got to lower your center body just a little bit to kind of get the right kind of drive out of them. And I think you both did a very good job, especially young lady here with the weather. So really what it boils down to, 2 outstanding showmen, probably a little more cooperation by the weather, a little quicker to get them put together and hold his position out here on the profile. Young lady, you'll be our champion here in our senior division, and our young man will be reserved. They both deserve a big hand. Excellent showmen, the pair of them.
Your champion senior showman went to Jordan Musil, and your reserve champion senior showman went to Grant Musil. Entering the ring now is class number 3 intermediate showmanship. While our intermediate showmen are entering the ring, we'd like to introduce our judge for tonight's show, Scott Shaky. He grew up on a farm and ranching operation in eastern Kansas. He graduated from Kansas State with his animal science degree, and after completing his PhD at the University of Kentucky, he returned to Kansas State and coached the livestock judging team for 22 years. During his tenure, he won 5 consecutive national championships and 7 reserve finishes. He recently retired from Kansas State after 32 years and is currently full-time ranching in the Flint Hills of Kansas with his wife, Candy. His wife, Candy, teaches kindergarten, and both of his sons are married, and everyone is involved in the ranching operation. His son, Shane, works for Biozyme and Shiloh and is a cattle buyer for National Beef. They just had their first grandson born in August. Thank you to our judge.
Well, 2 minutes. 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 2 min
This will be This will be first call for Class 4 Junior Showmanship. First call, Class 4 Junior Showmanship.
Okay, just a little bit on some showmanship tips. And all of you did a good job. When I walk around the front, everybody kind of gets out of the way, and that's good. So remember what's going on here. The judge is walking down the front to see the front end of your sheep. So make sure that you got the front legs just like it needs to be. What I wanted to show you, when I walk around the front of this young man here, watch how he rotates his body around. Go ahead and do like you're supposed to. See his hand placement? Okay. He's got it kind of underneath the ears, right at the hook of the jaw. And so again, both hands are like this. A lot of you have it kind of the old death grip around their neck. What we want to do is to try to slide your hands around like this, and then of course keep his nose straight out, keep his head up. As you get bigger and stronger, the key thing is, I wish we had our seniors out here to kind of do some of this. In fact, hey, bring our senior champion. Is she close? Hey, get out here. Your game ain't over yet. Bring a sheep. But what you do when you get bigger and stronger, now you have the ability to control the head. And a lot of you are big enough, you can do it anyway if you've worked with your sheep. So show them real quick here on our front view what we want to do as far as here. Face them so they can see you. So the judge, and see the other thing too is she's back off her sheep. Okay, we're not hovered up around his head. They come around front. See how she kind of hooks, and of course, this is not this sheep's first show. He's used to that. They're not real comfortable grabbing the jawbone, but when you work with them enough, you can get with it. But I like the way her hands are placed, okay? All right, let's roll around. Let's show them how we brace them. Okay, go ahead, partner. Pull back in here. Now, for all the mom and dads and grandmas and grandpas who think showing sheep is the best things for kids and it's an easy project, you're wrong, okay? It is the most difficult project, and you have to be a really good athlete to be a good showman. You have to be able to bend your body and lower your gravity. This is a big girl. She's tall. She's strong. She's got the perfect build for a sheep showman because she's strong, okay? But notice, gang, how she has lowered her body, and everything needs to be coming into the sheep's blade down here, okay? Look where her hands are again. Okay, instead of giving the old death grip around the head like this, or grabbing the ears like a handlebar, see how her hands are? Okay, we're not gripping the ear, we're just holding the head like this. And then when I come in to handle her sheep, she's going to lower her body just a bit, and she's going to give him something to push against here, not here. What happens when he pushes here? What's he do? He chokes down on you, okay? So make sure he's got something here, and she gets into him. And again, she don't have to work really hard. I saw a couple of you already, and this is a common mistake for us when we're beginning and we're younger. You tried to pull your sheep up into you, okay? No. Don't pull the sheep into you. You pull yourself into the sheep. Can you kind of show what I'm talking about? Like if she is... Yeah, she's pulling up on the head and trying to bring the sheep into her. The sheep are not going to like that. All they're going to do is back out of you. So what she does, she lowers her body and she comes into her sheep, okay? And y'all are the right size to do that, okay? When you get tall, it gets a little tougher to bend down like this. So, all right, does that make sense? Does it kind of help? And it's not easy. Like, nobody looks comfortable showing sheep if you're not done it a lot. So, trust me, I know. I'm terrible. I'm bad at it. I can just tell you what to do. I'm not going to show you how to do it. That's why we got her in here. She's showing you how to do it. All right, any questions on that? But this is what we want. We want to get down into them. We don't want to pull a sheep into you. You want to get into your sheep. We really want to work on hand placement, okay? Maybe not here, but when you go home and you practice, work on that. All right, good job. Aren't you glad you won? All right.
This will be second call, Class 4, Junior Showmanship. Second call, Class 4, Junior Showmanship. Our champion intermediate sheep showmanship buckle is sponsored by Scully Estates. This will be final call for Class 4 Junior Sheep Showmanship. Final call, Class 4 Junior Sheep Showmanship.
right, nice job. I think we've seen some change, and that's good. A couple of these fellas here are a little more aggressive on the ears. I told him, I said, I'm going to grab his ears and work them over like that, and he'll get an idea how we don't want to do that. So just a little softer on your hands. These are our top 4 here. I thought they were the most effective in getting their sheep set up and presented out here, the heads up, and I thought this young man here just did a really nice job from the get-go. So congratulations to all of you. I appreciate you coming out. Hopefully you learned a little bit. Again, I think a lot of this is done at home and getting comfortable with your animal. Showmanship is it's a dancing partner is what it is, right? And if your partner steps on your feet and they don't dance very good, you ain't gonna win showmanship. So we got to practice at home, get comfortable, learn how to get into your sheep. Don't bring your sheep into you. Learn how to get into your sheep. So, all right, great job. Congratulations, young man. You'll be our champion. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, just like they stand here. Congratulations.
The champion intermediate showman went to Lane Schnelly, and your reserve champion intermediate showman went to Liam Schnelly. Entering the ring now is Class 4 Junior Sheep Showmanship. Following Junior Sheep Showmanship, we will have Pee Wee Sheep Showmanship. Sorry, after overall sheep showman, we will have Pee Wee. our Champion Junior Sheep Showman buckle is sponsored by Gage County 4-H Council. If you are a purple ribbon winner in the intermediate showmanship, please make your way up to the ringside for overall showmanship, as well as the senior showmanship. We will just have grand and reserve intermediate showmen for overall showmanship, just grand and reserve. So if you are grand and reserve for senior and intermediate, please make your way up ringside.
All right, good work. Y'all win because you worked hard out of here. You know, we have to pick a top 4, but you all worked really hard. So, young lady, you're going to be our champion. You did a good job. Your sheep doesn't lead the most, but silly me, I asked a little bit about this sheep and what are some of the advantages over the blackface down there, and she gave me a whole dissertation. So if you want to know anything about her sheep, this is the one right here. She can tell you. Good job. I like where you position yourself. Again, you don't have the easiest sheep to show. She's pretty relaxed for the most part, but we put her on the parade. That's probably where she kind of just gets a little too lazy on you. I think what would help is you need to learn to kind of give her head just a little bit more. We can't show sheep like we show cattle and horses, okay? They're in charge, so they're going to have to be ahead of you. So So that'll be something. And she's a big old soggy ewe anyway. She probably, if she get a little headstrong, she can get away from me pretty easy. So I get that, but maybe work on that just a little bit. Young lady, you do a great job. And again, you don't have the reach everybody else has because you're pretty short, but you do a nice job on feet and legs. You work really hard to keep her head up out of her shoulders. She's not the easiest one to show. She's kind of what I always call kind of a turtleneck. She wants to dip down into her chest, but you work really hard to do it. And I just thought you were a little more efficient in getting her put together for the most part. So very good job. We're going to work on some little things, know where to be when the judge walks in front of you, but I thought a really good job. This one right here is high energy, like wears me out. And she knows it. We were just laughing. I said, I think what she needs to do is we take her out on the track 30 minutes before the show and let her run 2 miles, slow her down, just relax her, because she bounces around out here like a fly. So just slow down. You do a good job. And I think your ewe has more confidence in you than you have in your ewe. So I think you can you can show her without a halter. You were telling me she's a little headstrong, but I think you can do it. But I would just say just slow down a little bit, okay? Did a good job out here. This young man's got a good sheep to show. And again, I think what happens, we as parents make a mistake and we try to make our young kids be perfectionists. They have to be right here, right there on their legs. And I would suggest to you, as good as that sheep is built, close is good. So a lot of times you were trying to move a leg when you really didn't need to, and then he's starting to fight you, and then the wheels started to spin, and things just didn't happen quite as quickly. And so, but again, you got a very nice sheep. I think he's a natural show sheep, and probably just kind of walk him into position, get him propped up, and game's over. Okay, so probably overworked him just a little bit. Both you young ladies, I love your demeanor out here. You're fun to look at. You're having a good time. The sheep maybe, again, just not as easy to get put together. Okay, they're a little slower to go. That Dorper, she's always wanting to back out on you. So again, the key thing is to try to get her to come into you instead of backing away from you. But very nice job. Our champion's down here on the end. Reserve stands right next to her. Congratulations. Slow down, young lady. Okay, you're going to live a short life if you have this speed the rest of your life. So congratulations. A lot of fun with our juniors here. Good job. Let's go off. Yeah, we'll go first. Yep.
The champion junior sheep showman went to Holly Cook. Your reserve champion junior showman was Gwen Cruz. Our sponsor for the overall sheep showmanship award is from Security First Bank, and this is their 80th year sponsoring our overall sheep showmanship award. Following the selection of our overall champion showman, we will have Pee Wee showmanship.
There's been several times when I've been asked to pick an overall showman. The seniors don't always win. but out here it's easy. I mean, these two seniors I thought were very good, but I think the fun thing about tonight was that since we have this level of competition in our senior division, these two good showmen, we were able to bring her out here and maybe help that intermediate group just a little bit. And like I said earlier, this is bar none the hardest species to show, partly because they have a very small brain in their head, they're slow to learn, and so it takes a lot of time to get these animals to prop up and present like they are. So it don't happen overnight, and you have to have that relationship with the showman. You have to spend a lot of time at the barn to get them things to do what they need to be done. So again, these two are so good with their hands. The young lady with the weather, again, just real efficient in her work out here, getting him presented and propped up. She does such a nice job. Young man, again, maybe you just wrestle her just a little bit more than she does, but same kind of positioning with your hands, her head, and getting her neck up out of her blade like you do. You do a very nice job. So congratulations, seniors. You're going to win tonight, okay? But it don't always happen that way, but congratulations.
Your third overall showman for sheep was Lane Schnelly, and your fourth overall showman was Liam Schnelly. Entering the ring now, we have our Pee Wee showmanship. This will be first call for Class 1 breeding sheep, Hampshire Lamb. First call, Class 1 breeding sheep, Hampshire Lamb. And this will also be first call for Class 2 Hampshire ewe yearling. First call, Class 2 Hampshire ewe yearling. Second call, Class 1, Hampshire Lamb. Second call, Class 1, Hampshire Lamb. And second call, Class 2, Hampshire Ewe Yearling. Final call, Class 1, Hampshire Lamb. Final call, Class 1, Hampshire Lamb. And final call, Class 2, Hampshire Ewe Yearling.
Well, there's a couple of really good things that's happening out here in the ring. First of all, we've got so many of these young kids, and we're hopefully building some interest in this project. This is a project that, a lot of shows I go to, it's probably struggling just a little bit on numbers. And like I said, it's not the easiest project, so I'm glad that we've got so many of these young kids that are out here, and a lot of good young showmen that are helping them out, and I think that's really what this is all about. The other good thing is they told me I didn't have to pick a champion because I would have no clue to where to start. I would have to say this young lady's maybe not a novice or a peewee down here. She does a good job. She tells me she shows goats, but she's going to be a hand in this sheep deal. So most importantly, let's give them all a nice hand. Great group. We're going to get some prizes handed out, I think, and I wish this county the best of luck and keep growing your sheep project. I think this is one of the ways to get her done. Good job.
Entering the ring now is Class 1 of our breeding sheep show. This will be first call for Class 3 hair lambs. First call, Class 3 hair lamb.
Oh, we've seen this ewe a few times, I think, and we even mentioned in showmanship that there's just a lot of good about this ewe. Little tiny neck and got a nice blade in her. I like her best in terms of just her skeleton and the way she moves. She's really athletic. We got the extra length of body to her. One of those that's going to be a little later to come. I mean, she's not the biggest in her cage. She's not the widest, most dimensional ewe, but to me looks like a female. I really like the athleticism. I like the skeleton in her and the way she travels. So very nice way to get started here in our ewe show.
This will be second call, Class 3 hair lambs. Second call, Class 3 hair lambs.
All right, in our yearling division, really a ewe that's got tremendous length of body, very smooth. She's got her shoulder set in her really nice. She stays pretty good in her spine and out to her pins. Really, again, just pretty flexible. You know, obviously a little bit more in just the real world shape. She's not got a lot of bloom to her, but I think the general design, the femininity and the balance is the real strength of this ewe here. So another pretty good individual here to represent our senior division.
This will be final call, Class 3 hair lambs. Final call, Class 3 hair lambs.
All right, to pick a champion hamp here real quick, and again, the ewe lamb just got the extra bells and whistles. She's got the nice big legs, and again, I think just in really nice quality in terms of her touch, the height quality that she has. So she'll be our champion Hampshire, and then that'll leave our yearling here to be our reserve champion Hampshire ewe.
Your champion Hampshire ewe lamb went to Grant Musel, and your reserve champion Hampshire ewe lamb went to Ethan Hoffman-Ideas. This will be first call for Class 4 hair ewe yearling. Class 4 hair ewe yearling lambs. This will be second call, Class 4 Hare Ewe Yearling Lambs. Second call, Class 4 Hare Ewe Yearling Lambs.
All right, we've got a variety in this hare division of some different breed types, but I think in some useful things. Young lady, we'll bring your sheep in here. She's going to end up in 6. Let's go ahead and pull her right up here. And obviously, the big thing right now is she's just a little younger in age and just not near the performance to her and growth that we have here in some of the bigger, older sheep that are going to be right ahead of her. Young man, you're going to come in here next. Then I think both of these sheep will just bring them in here side by side. Thought the young ladies, you just got a bit more length of body to, and maybe the ultimate thing, just a little bit more total dimension to her than the young man's, but this will represent our 4th and 5th. We're going to bring the little redhead here in next. Redhead sheep, a redhead showman, right? That's a good job. And again, that ewe, from a balance perspective, I thought is just a little nicer, especially when she gets out on the move. I thought that she stayed a little more collected. And I think maybe just a bit more true natural body width and hip in her than we have in the 2 sheep that end up in 4th and 5th. So it leaves us with a pair of Dorpers. Probably when I handle them, I might like the young ladies, but we put them on the walk, and I felt like the young man showman here that ewe just presents herself better on the walk. She keeps her neck up out of her shoulder just a little nicer. They're pretty similar in terms of dimension and muscle. It just kind of boiled down the structure. So she's going to be first. This ewe here will be second here. So congratulations. If you guys want to stay here close, we'll pick a champion here in this hare division. Congratulations. Let's give them all a nice hand here in our set of ewe lambs.
This will be first call, Class 5 commercial ewe lambs. First call, Class 5 commercial ewe lambs. This will be second call for Class 5 commercial ewe lambs. Second call, Class 5 commercial ewe lambs.
All right, this is a really nice set of yearlings, to be honest, and I'm probably going to end up splitting these Dorpers up, putting our two hair sheep here in between them. So let's start. Again, we'll start with fourth. We're going to bring the young lady's yearling ewe here in fourth. Let's go ahead and pull her up. I think in terms of some trimness, she has an advantage over the two hair sheep that are going to end up in second and third. This one, for me, needs to be designed a little differently in her neck-shoulder junction and the way she feeds her spine out of the top of her shoulder. We just like to balance her out a little bit better through the front third of her body. But as we expect here in the Dorper, there's a real shapely sheep here. She's got a big leg. There's going to be some cutability in that ewe, and certainly we do like. For third, we're going to bring her in next year, and I think those two are so much alike in terms of design. I thought we kind of sorted them. The young lady that winds up in second, I think there's just a little more natural dimension from her last rib back. I like the design of her hind leg a little bit better than this ewe here, but they're both really structurally, I think they have some advantages over the Dorper that winds up in here fourth. So let's pull your sheep here in second, and then I think we have a really nice class winner here in this yearling. She's really good in terms of balance. With this balance and her design, her structure. I like this ewe both as she stands, and probably more importantly, as we put her on the walk, she travels really nice and stays really collected there in her top line. So nice class winner here to represent our senior division here in our hair sheep.
This will be final call for Class 5 commercial lambs. Final call, Class 5 commercial lambs. All right, in this division, I think it's kind of a coin toss reserve to me. There's a pretty simple winner, and that's our yearling Dorper that just won this last class. She's going to be our champion. And I think just from a sheer structural and advantage and really balance when we get them out here, I probably felt like the other yearling ewe is just a little nicer, a little more complete from the side. So, young lady, you're going to have the reserve champion. We'll keep our two yearlings together. Congratulations to the four of you, and best of luck here as you keep building on your sheep project. Your champion hair breeding sheep is exhibited by Ryan Blake, and your reserve champion hair breeding sheep is exhibited by Heidi Cook. This will be first call for Class 6 Commercial U yearling lambs. First call, Class 6 Commercial U yearling lambs. This will be second call for Class 6 Commercial U yearling lambs. Second call, Class 6 Commercial U yearling lambs. This will be final call for Class 6 Commercial U yearling lambs. Final call, Class 6 Commercial U yearling lambs.
All right, we get started in our commercials. A nice set, a little bit of variation, but yet good kind you can take home and breed on and do some pretty neat things. So we're going to put the real dark ewe here in fourth, and again, frame-wise, she's really nice. Her length of body's good, very feminine. Obviously, she doesn't have the real big cage and the real dimensional look to her when you get in behind her, but an excellent length of body. Certainly ewe that I think if we take a little bit more conditioning and feed, that would really improve just the general design on her. So she's hungry enough, she's going to eat your t-shirt off you. So let's go ahead and pull her in here, partner. She's going to be fourth. Then I think you've got some interesting ewes to work with. I'm going to probably speculate a little bit more here on our younger white ewe and end up probably putting her in second. We're going to split our blues. Young man, if you want to bring your blue sheep in here next and third, and one of those that she's got some things that I think are pretty fashionable. She's a big long cannon sheep that's pretty tall fronted. She's probably, again, in terms of just her body width, and particularly you get your hands on her, she's good up in her top. She's a nickel too straight for me up in her shoulder. I don't think she's quite as nice in her underline maybe as we study her through the floor of her chest and back into her flank, but some nice pieces to her, a lot of fun to work with her. We're going to bring the white ewe then here in second, and again, I read that one as being a really immature, very youthful sheep. Got a cocky look to her. I like the way her neck kind of comes out of her blade. Excellent in her underline in terms of her sternum. got a nice creased up back. Again, maybe just a little bit steeper up in her shoulder, a little turned out up front. And as a young lady kind of gets in her, she wants to get just a little high right there in the middle of her back and maybe get just a little tighter in her spine. But I like a lot of fun pieces about her. I like the way her hide is made. I like her shape to her top. I just think she'll be a lot of fun to work with here as a breeding piece. And then one that's a little different than these two that winds up winning the class. I think a good brood ewe. She's really bold in her rib, really dimensional in terms of chest width and back into her pins. Got the big fashionable legs today, and they work right to get her out on the move. Not the tiny necked one, not the real slick fronted one maybe, but I think a good turnout ewe that's going to offer kind of some fun pieces to work with to raise some wethers because of the extra dimension she has, and yet still puts it in a really nice look. So nice class here to get started in our ewe lambs.
This will be first call for Class 7 homebred and raised lambs, and first call Class 8 homebred and raised ewe yearling lambs.
All right. I'm just thinking, young man, she looks a lot like the Hamp ewe you brought in earlier in terms of her design, her length of body. Again, pretty flexible. She's got the ability to kind of get out and cover some country. Not the big bone, not the real stout one that we've seen earlier, but I think, again, very similar to your Hampshire ewe in terms of her smoothness, her refinement, the femininity that she has.
This will be second call for Class 7 homebred and raised lamb, and second call Class 8 homebred and raised ewe yearling lamb.
All right. Again, there's just a little more of the breeding pieces that have value in this world today, and in these two ewe lambs. They've just got a little bit of the extra look and design, and certainly the muscle shape over the yearlings. So our blue ewe will be our champion, and then we'll come back with the Hamp cross down here for our reserve. Let's give them all a nice hand. Good set of sheep here to represent our commercial division.
Your champion commercial lamb, sponsored by Tim and Darla Acton, goes to Grant Musil. And your reserve champion commercial lamb went to Gwen Cruz. Entering the ring now, we have Class 7 homebred and raised lamb.
I don't think this young man needs to go very far to buy sheep. You raise them this good, you don't need to go buy any. That's a real nice ewe. Again, kind of got the fashionable look from the side. Nice hide, good rib cage, dead level. In fact, sometimes we can make them so level, the way that old tail's propped up there, we might get just a little bit of a deviation there in her hip-loin junction, but very nice sheep. It'll be fun to kind of get her out here in this final drive and see how they all come together. Kind of the same situation. You know, you brought 3 or 4 sheep in here already, and I think my favorite ewe that you brought to me is this one here that you bred and owned yourself. Good dimensional ewe. She's got some cage to her. She's got some top in her, and certainly like all your sheep, she's got plenty of length of body to her. So another nice entry here in your bred and owned division. A little bit of a broken record, but again, it's just kind of like we've talked about in all the divisions. There's the extra factors that can allow you to sell some for more than others, and it's really the design, like we see again here in this ewe lamb, or her build, again, just a little nicer in terms of her underpinning. So our champion again will be our ewe lamb, and then our senior here will be our reserve.
This will be first call for Class 1 market lambs. First call, Class 1 market lambs. Your champion homebred and raised lamb went to Grant Musil, and your reserve champion homebred and raised went to Ethan Hoffman-Idias. This will be second call, Class 1 market lambs. Second call, Class 1 market lambs. The Grand Champion Breeding U banner is sponsored by Farmers Cooperative. And the Reserve Champion Breeding U is sponsored by DLT Family Farms. This will be final call Class 1 market lambs. Final call Class 1 market lambs.
Not a lot of ewes, but the quality was really good. We got several champions and reserves that I think are really strong contenders. What I'd like to do is just real quickly kind of give you my opinion of each of the champions. We'll start with the Hamp. I think in terms of the look she gives you from the side, the length of her neck, I think she's probably the soundest sheep out here in terms of the way she can reach out and grab some ground when she takes a step. You watch her out of her front end, she can really reach. Her length of hip and the design of her hind leg just makes that sheep really, really mobile. Of her champion, she might be the flattest rib. She's not as bold and opened up, maybe as dimensional as some others out here. Probably for me in her breeding sheep, I lean a little harder on design and skeleton. There's enough bucks in the world that can open a sheep up and make them stouter. So I think she's going to be a fun one to work with, especially when you got that kind of structure. Then we go in here to our Dorper that won the hair division, the yearling out here that, again, nice design, good skeleton. I thought she won that hair division pretty easily because of the balance and the quality that she had, particularly the quality of her structure. So that's a nice sheep to represent that division. Our blue sheep that come out of the commercial, she is by some margin the really robust one out here. She's opened up good, got a big old round cage, a lot of muscle to her. Maybe again up front, just a little thicker neck, a little softer looking to me, but fun breeding pieces. She ought to be able to kick out a wether too because the extra dimension that she has, and yet still puts it in a very smooth package. And then our bred known, I think, is a nice combination of the Hamp and the blue sheep. I think she's got a little more center body and just dimension than her Hamp. I like her up in her neck and her shoulder a little bit better than the blue sheep. Again, probably in terms of just mobility, we can lengthen her hip up, we can change her hock, and maybe that will allow that loin to sit a little nicer into her hip. So in terms of structure of her hind leg, maybe not dead on perfect like the Hamp, but I think she has some fun breeding pieces. It just really kind of ends up being a nice combination of the other two that I like out very well. So partner, you had a good day today. You're going to also be rewarded here with your bred known sheep to be the champion overall. So I don't think you need to go buy sheep. You just raise the good ones. Let's give him a nice hand. To me, that's a lot of fun when you can raise one of that quality. So congratulations. I'm going to come back then. I'm going to use the Hamp ewe. I think there's a lot of fun pieces to work with on her. I really like, again, the quality of her skeleton and the way that she gets out and goes, and a very feminine look. So the Hampshire sheep will end up being our reserve champion. Congratulations. Good job, young people. You got a nice set of breeding sheep.
Your champion overall breeding sheep was exhibited by Grant Musil, and your overall reserve champion breeding sheep was also exhibited by Grant Musil. This will be first call, Class 2 market lambs. First call, Class 2 market lambs. Coming in the ring now is your first class of market lambs. This will be second call, Class 2 market lambs. Second call, Class 2 market lambs.
This first set of lightweight market lambs, young lady, we're going to pull a little red hair sheep in here, fifth. Let's go ahead and pull her in here fifth, baby. Pull her on up here, okay? Again, the big thing here is we're just not quite as far along in weight and gain like we have some of the other sheep here in the class, so just a little bit behind the game. We're going to pull the other hair sheep back here in next. He'll be fourth. Just simply a little bit more to him today. Let's bring the other one in here in third. And again, you get your hands on them. I think that's where these two bigger hair sheep kind of sort together. Then I think you got either or here on the top end. The Dorper obviously got a little more leg shape, just a little more boldness to him. The medium wool out here is a lot longer, more extended, maybe hasn't gained and been quite as thrifty to it, but I like his general design. I think it balances out good. The biggest thing is he's just always going to be a very average muscled sheep. He's just not bold enough, not opened up, quite stout enough to ever be real muscular, but I think he's built nice. He'll have some leanness too down the road. So we're going to keep with our medium wool here. Will be first, young man. The Dorper sheep will be second. This first class of market lambs. Good job.
This will be first call, Class 3 market lambs. First call, Class 3 market lambs. This will be second call, Class 3 Market Lambs. Second call, Class 3 Market Lambs. This will be final call, Class 3 Market Lambs. Final call, Class 3 Market Lambs.
All right, some very nice sheep in this class, and there's really, for the most part, I think the ones that are going to kind of end up here on the top end still have some continued go to them. But we're going to go again, start here, and work our way up to our first place winner. We're going to bring our Dorper in here. He'll wind up in fifth, and a nice productive sheep, just a good sheep, real world sheep, commercial sheep. He's got some body to him. He ends up being a little more average in muscle, particularly within this breed type. We probably have a little more expectation when you get your hands on him down this top, but length of body's good. He does have some leg in him. The little ewe lamb here will come in fourth, sweetheart. You want to bring her in here. A nice top in this sheep. She's got a big rack and really go all the way back to her pin. She's opened up really good. Rib cage is good. A nickel shorter body, little finer bone. I think probably if I could do anything with this one, maybe just extend her out a little bit in her hip and just give her just a little bit more length. But some fun pieces to her, especially up high as we get out of her shoulder and we work back into her pin set. The blue weather's going to be third. He's a big, tall, upstanding sheep. Him and the sheep that wind up in second are just a little wonky on their hind leg. He needs to be modified a bit more in his hip structure, the design of his hind leg. And then as we kind of get on top of him, again, probably needs to be shaped up better in his rack. He just needs to have a little bit more tone all the way down his top and better shape in terms of muscle for me. But tall fronted, long neck, big bone. You know, he's got some pretty fun pieces to work with. He's got a nice hide. Ends up with a pretty good touch. He's just not quite as shapely. The other wether here will be second. And like I said, both of these sheep maybe don't appeal to me quite as nicely on the move and the way they're designed in their hind leg. The big difference is this guy here has just got a lot better shape in his rack. To me, he's a real fresh handling sheep. I think it's a big thing to win this class to me. I'd just like to see him motor more correctly on his hind leg. Ewe Lamb's a good handling sheep. We saw her earlier in about the first class of the day. Again, a nice cage, a nice hide, really muscular, very level, maybe a little shorter hipped, maybe a little steeper up in her shoulder, but just in terms of handle quality, that one's pretty tough to get around here in this set of lighter weight sheep. So congratulations to him and our class winner. Again, nice quality sheep. Let's go four. Okay, 4 purples and a blue in this class with the good depth that we have to work with. Congratulations.
Thanks. This will be first call, Class 4, pen of 2 Market Lambs. First call, Class 4, pen of 2 Market Lambs.
right. Another good set, and two I think that kind of come up to the top pretty quick, and then probably a decision for third. Young man, we're going to bring this ewe lamb here and go ahead and bring her here in fifth here. Her length of body's good, just simply needs more bone and muscle. So if you want to pull her up here in our fifth hole, thank you very much. I think a real close decision here for third. And again, there's a bit of a trade-off. When we put him on the walk, I probably like this sheep to my far right. He stays a little more collected in the middle part of his back. I think this kind of handled his skeleton a little bit better at the ground. I get my hands on him. I think there's an advantage in trimness, and the sheep right behind him, he's a little freer fat over his forerib. I don't know if there's really a real big difference in muscle. The presumption would be our sheep up front has a lot more muscle than him, but get your hands on him, I don't know, it's kind of a give and take deal. So again, it's back and forth. We're going to keep a sheep that's got a little more dimension in third. So partner, if you want to bring your weather here in fourth, okay. I do like his trimness. I just like to build him better out of his top and his hip, and I think he does need to be just a little wider gauge in his overall makeup. And then we'll bring this sheep here in third that perhaps has just a bit more body width and just general boldness of rib and muscle. He is getting a little fat there over his forerib. Leaves us with two nice weathers, but one that I think is just a pretty easy winner. Our young man's going to be second. He's a nice sheep in terms of his leg shape. Got a nice height. Again, a good handling sheep. Probably not, to me, quite as good on the move. He gets just a little elevated there in the middle of his back. I don't think the heel of his loin fits quite as nicely into his hip as a sheep that's going to beat him. But he's a little skinnier neck, and for me, honestly, I probably like his underline. I like him a little tubier bellied maybe than the modern sheep judges that are taking him a little fatter middled. And that would probably be the thing I'd say about this weather here. I'd like to just set him up in his chest a little bit and tidy him up a little bit in his underline. He's spectacular up high, though. I think his blade is set back into his spine right. He stays so good in his top line when he walks. Got a beautiful touch to him when you get your hands on him. He's muscular, and yet he's got a good fresh handle to him. You're just not going to pick a lot of big holes in him. That's a very nice sheep. Congratulations. He'll be our class winner. Another good set. Certainly a nice pair on top.
This will be second call, Class 4, pen of 2 market lambs. Second call, Class 4, pen of 2 market lambs. This will be final call, Class 4, pen of 2 market lambs. Final call, Class 4, pen of 2 market lambs.
Sound like the tractor pull is getting wound up, so we got to get this show over. I was just starting to have a lot of fun. These last two classes were really good, and a very nice market show. You know, we didn't have a lot of numbers, but boy, this top end is really good. We've got, you know, 3 sheep out here that each represent their class. They're good sheep. I think the heavyweight to me just got the extras to him, his length. I really like his skeleton, and I know for a lot of people you say, well, that's not important, but for me, when you play at this level and this high of a game, it is the little things like that that make a difference, and that guy is really nice when we get him on the parade out here. So, you know, again, the county fairs, I probably get as much of a charge out of judging a county fair as any major show, because I've told a lot of people this is where I started. My family farmed in eastern Kansas, and the only time Dad shut the tractor off and we weren't in the field doing something was during that week of our county fair. So I have very fond memories, and even my sisters, we laugh about it all the time. You know, for us, the county fair was a big deal because that was our vacation. And so even today, I just think for a lot of us families, this is where we get a chance to spend time together and have fun and see our friends, because generally the rest of the time we're all working so hard we don't have time to do it. So again, I also encourage us to always keep this in perspective. It's just an event where you have one person that's giving you their opinion. We don't always agree. I've been to enough shows where we've gotten beat or watching somebody judge and I don't agree, but you know what? They didn't ask me to judge that show, and that's perfectly fine. So I'm trying to be honest in my opinion, and I think you know, we always need to keep in mind that the banner is never bigger than the kid. We're not out here to just chase banners all the time. We're out here to develop young leaders. So it's been a lot of fun. This has been a great county for many years. Your sheep show has been spectacular here on the top end. Our young lady here that won our senior showmanship division, let's give her a nice hand. She brings a very nice sheep here at the county fair. Congratulations, he'll be our champion. And then for reserve, again, you can do some different things. The ewe lamb that won that second class, like we said, is a nice handling sheep for her weight. She's really opened up good in her back, and she's got a bold rib cage to her. Again, structurally, maybe for me, have a little reservation. She's a little straighter up in her shoulder. I like to lengthen her hip up, and I think that's where the heavyweight weather really has some advantages. He's got a big old leg, a real shapely leg with some stifle in him and an inner leg. In fact, probably more than our champion. Structurally, we changed him a little bit in his top, and certainly if he had that deviation fixed a little bit on him, then he could just as easily won the show. So that's how competitive it's been. It's really been a nice group, but I think he fits our champion so much better. He'll be our reserve. Congratulations.
Yeah, you bet.
Your grand champion market lamb is exhibited by Jordan Musil, and that award is sponsored by Gage County Farm Bureau. And your reserve champion overall market lamb was exhibited by Grant Musil, and that award is sponsored by Heartland Bank of Odell. Before we do our pen of 2 market lambs, we are going to announce the winners and results of our market lamb ultrasound contest. So in first place was Grant Musil. If you could come up and get your ribbon now, that would be great. Second place was Grant Musil. In your third purple was Jordan Musil. Fourth purple was Cooper Grotrian? Grotrian. Your fifth purple was Lane Schnelly. In sixth, receiving a blue ribbon was Ethan Hoffman Ideas. Receiving seventh and a blue ribbon was Elizabeth Blake. And receiving eighth and a blue ribbon was Liam Schnelly. right, now we will have our Pen of 2 Market Lambs, class number 4.
Well, both the pins are very nice. I think it kind of boils down to we got a little more strength on our number 1 sheep here on the top end. And then I think for number 2, you can make it a real close call with the blue weather or the little ewe lamb here. And so again, I think there's some give and take there. But we have, I think, a nice pair that fit together. There's just a little more grow power and length of body. And certainly, like I said, I think just a little more up here on the top end in terms of just a better sheep. So we're going to use the 2 bigger wethers here for our champion pin and then bring in these other 2 here as our reserve. But again, I want to thank you both. They're a very nice pair of sheep here, both these pin situations. Good job. Thank you. You bet. Yep. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You bet. Good job.
Your grand champion Pen of 2 Market Lambs is exhibited by Grant Musil, and your reserve champion Pen of 2 Market Lambs is exhibited by Harrison Cruz. Both sponsored by Tim and Darla Acton. We would like to thank everyone for coming to our sheep show and our judge for Scott, Shockey for coming and judging our sheep show. And a special thank you to our sponsors, Security First Bank, Musil Club Lambs, Scully Estates, Farmers Cooperative, DLT Family Farms, Gage County Farm Bureau, Heartland Bank, Firkin Custom Works, Farm Credit Services of America, Tim and Darla Acton, and Terry Burrs. And then a special thank you to Farmers National Company for sponsoring the barn broadcast.